Since its rushed American release, the Sega Saturn has been a misunderstood system. However, as each year passes, it seems more and more folks have really begun to appreciate the hardware. Whether you are into 90s-style arcade classics or hardcore sprite-based games, the Saturn library is deep and filled with some fantastic gaming experiences. So, on today's episode of 5 Games, I present 5 great Sega Saturn games. Darius Gaiden is a shmup developed by Taito and does a great job showcasing the awesome sprite capabilities of the Sega Saturn. The game is simply stunning, with beautiful hand-drawn visuals, detailed backgrounds, and a screen brimming with action at nearly all times. The gameplay itself is classic Darius, with the tried-and-true Silverhawk returning to take on an alien army with a distinct oceanic flair. Power-ups allow you to upgrade your main shot and secondary shot, while a massive bomb forms a black hole sucking in all enemy projectiles and most smaller enemies. The controls are responsive, making Darius Gaiden really easy to get into. Darius Gaiden is also hard as nails, and I have yet to graduate from the easy mode. Still, if you like old-school shmups that demand you not only dodge bullets but also shoot down enemies, it doesn't get much better than this. The classic shield, smooth frame rate, unique soundtrack blending dance and techno with 80s synth and a touch of opera, and the fact this was released in America are icing on the cake. The Sega Saturn was made for games like Darius Gaiden, and I highly recommend it.
Ready, set, go!
The Sega Saturn also marked the awkward time when Sega had no idea how to bring Sonic into the third dimension. In my opinion, Sonic R does an admirable job capturing the spirit of Sonic, blending together platforming and racing into a fun little game. These days, Sonic R is probably most famous for its soundtrack. Each song has a bright and poppy feel to it, and do a great job capturing the energy of Sonic the Hedgehog. Additionally, each song has a vocal track with British singer TJ Davis belting out some truly memorable lyrics. The music isn't for everyone, and you can listen to the soundtrack with the vocals turned off, but I can't help but love it. The gameplay is also controversial for some. The controls are somewhat slippery and don't really feel like a traditional kart racer, nor does it feel like a platformer. There is a learning curve for sure, but the reward is some really awesome track designs. Seriously, these 5 courses manage to feel like intricate 3D platforming levels with plenty of hidden secrets to find and objectives to complete, and genuine racetracks all at the same time. It really is remarkable. Sonic R is also rather beautiful. The frame rate is fairly smooth and the texture work is some of the best on the system. The backgrounds even fade in, helping to hide some of the pop-up inherent to this generation of 3D games. While Sonic R isn't for everyone, it is still one of my favorites on the Saturn and an interesting footnote in the history of Sonic. Estall is an early Saturn game developed by Sega, and I get the feeling this is where Sega thought gaming was headed when they developed the Saturn hardware. The visuals are absolutely gorgeous, with the backgrounds having a painting-like quality to them and the rest of the sprite work not far behind. The gameplay is also strong. Our hero Estall has a variety of moves at his disposal. He can grab onto enemies and launch them into other enemies. He can jump and pound them with his fists. And finally, suck in air and then exhale like a projectile weapon. He also has a bird friend that can bring you fruit to replenish your life bar, and even attack enemies himself. When I first played Estall, I liked the game but wasn't blown away. However, every time I revisit the game, I appreciate it a little more. The level design works well with Estall's walking, running, and jumping, making platforming quite fun. Additionally, enemy placement is top-notch and works well with Estall's arsenal of attacks. It really is a well-crafted game. Rounding out the package is a terrific soundtrack. Each piece is whimsical and fits the action on the screen perfectly, with a new age yet classical vibe. Again, if you're looking for a game that screams Saturn, look no further than Estall. Digital Pinball Last Gladiators is a digital pinball game from Kaze. Of all the retro digital pinball games I've played over the years, Last Gladiators is easily my favorite. The game is incredibly accessible for novice pinball players like myself. Everything is clearly laid out, with on-screen cues telling you what to aim for to unlock modes, and on-screen cues telling you what the different modes are. There is even a help screen explaining what everything on the playfield is called, and detailed explanation of what everything does. My appreciation for pinball, both digital and real life, is all thanks to the care I put into digital pinball Last Gladiators. However, more important than the friendly help screens is the gameplay. The pinball itself moves around in a realistic and predictable way, and the flipper physics feel terrific. The 4 tables themselves are arguably basic, but I do appreciate how everything fits into a single, semi-realistic view, and each and every item on the table is crisp and clear. It won't take long before you figure out how to enable multi-ball and start racking up massive jackpots. Last Gladiators is also technically impressive. The high-res 480i visuals are stunning, and it's amazing to think this level of fidelity can be found on a home console released in 1994. And of course, the rock soundtrack is amazing, with a heavy emphasis on guitar, and really adds to the overall experience. If you're looking for something different for the Saturn, give Digital Pinball Last Gladiators a try. You might be surprised.
You must better your skills on this course, or you'll become Rally Roadkill.
Jumping back to the third dimension, we have Sega Rally Championship. This is without a doubt my favorite game on the system, and one of the very best racing games of all time. The greatness starts with the controls. Even with the limitations of the D-pad, drifting around turns feels buttery smooth, and the immediacy of your input and the car reacting is something many modern racing games still don't get right. Next, the track designs are fantastic. An unrivaled level of care was put into every single turn, straightaway, and elevation change, making for some of the funnest driving sequences one can find. This is necessary too, as Sega Rally Championship has just 3 tracks plus a hidden one if you come in first place after the first 3. There is also a third unlockable car. Yeah, Sega Rally doesn't have much content, but it really doesn't matter. Beating the game on the normal difficulty is incredibly challenging, and when you have tracks this good and controls this smooth, replaying the game over and over isn't tedious, but an absolute blast. Sega's trademark 90s style is everywhere as well. The graphics are bright and colorful, and while the low polygon count and pop-up didn't light the world on fire when this was new, the overall style has aged remarkably well, and I find the graphics quite appealing. Sega Rally's audio is also over the top. The replays in particular have an abundance of weird vocals, making you actually want to watch the replays. I just can't say enough about Sega Rally Championship. While Estal and Darius Gaiden capture the 2D magic of the Saturn, Sega Rally perfectly captures Sega's arcade prowess. Without a doubt, this is a must-own. So there you have it, 5 great games for the Sega Saturn. Now, this is not a definitive list, nor is it intended to be a best of, and the Saturn has far more than 5 great games, so be sure to leave a comment and let me know which Saturn games you enjoy.